right now is Senior Advisor to President-elect Donald Trump, Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne, great to see you.
Hi, Maria.
Thank you so much for joining us. Interesting polls, huh? I mean, the favorability is rising. Congratulations to you and your team. But why do you think the majority of Americans are saying we're disapproving of the transition process?
Well, I think if you quiz them about the particulars, maybe they wouldn't pass, only because most people don't focus on the ins and outs of transition. It's an unusual process for most Americans. So I think it's easier to get your arms around, do you approve of the way he's handling the economy or his vision for veterans affairs or tax reform? That's just a little bit easier because it's more front and center for all of us. But that's okay. We're a divided country, and I don't think that that particular poll number has an effect on what's been incredible activity, constant energy, over 85 meetings with incredibly strong men and women who are coming in and offering their advice, their counsel, their experience, their vision, some of whom will serve in his cabinet and in other parts of the administration, and some who are just there because they love the country and they want to offer their advice and opinion. I do like the 50% favorability rating because it shows that, unlike some of these other folks, the election deniers, as I call them, that most Americans are trying to support the president-elect and the vice president-elect, taking their cues from President Obama, from First Lady Michelle Obama, who were very welcoming and gracious to President-elect Trump and Mrs. Trump last month. And they know that in the peaceful transition of power in our great democracy, Maria, you need folks to feel that they're behind the office of the president.
Yeah.
I think people are excited, new blood, fresh perspective. Let's see what happens. They see how strong of a leader Donald Trump is, the president-elect, but also how humbled he is by the incredible responsibility and gravity of this position.
Yeah, he's gotten an incredible amount of work done already, and it hasn't even been the inauguration yet. I mean, from Carrier to SoftBank investing $50 billion in the country. The Journal writes it this morning like this: a dramatic unraveling of regulations on everything from overtime pay to power plant emission rules, as Trump is filling his cabinet with determined adversaries of the agencies that they will lead, like Andy Puzder, not for $15 minimum wage, running Labor Department, like Scott Pruitt, who has, sued the EPA, running the EPA. Is that the goal, Kellyanne?
Well, Donald Trump has made very clear out in the stump and now as president-elect, Maria, that regulations are just choking industry and employers and really discouraging would-be entrepreneurs in our country. That has to stop. And he has promised in his 100-day plan, people can pull it up for themselves, that for every new regulation he puts forward, he will take away, he will rescind 2 regulations. I think there are about over 600 major regulations that were put forth during the Obama administration. He's got his eye on most of them. He has made very clear that he would like to rescind the executive orders and some of these regulations almost immediately. When you talk about the Labor Department, when you talk about the EPA, you're exactly right, spot on, that these are places, these are industries, frankly, where the regulations have been suffocating for so many employers and of course, then employees and consumers down the line. And in the case of the EPA, the idea that we have all of these job-killing, anti-energy regulations that are preventing us from really leveraging the energy that's underneath our feet and off our shores, that's going to change under Donald Trump. We can be energy independent. We can create all these jobs. He talks about coal and shale, and he talks about different alternative sources, and it's a big part of his 100-day plan, and it's very exciting. It's also part of his job creation plan. It presumes implicitly that you'll have this unleashing of energy in a way, and infrastructure in a way that helps us not settle for anemic 1.5% or 2% growth, but go for that 3.5%, 4% mark.
Yeah, and Wilbur Ross, when he was with us a couple of weeks ago, said that the president has put in 7,000 rules, 6,000 or 7,000 rules just in the last 2 years. It's just extraordinary what President Obama has done, and we're going to see a real unleashing of business. But Kellyanne, the tweeting. I mean, I get that President-elect Trump he's very engaging with his followers, and he speaks directly to the American people. But to call out Chuck Jones on Twitter and to, talk about Boeing on Twitter, is he going to be tweeting when he's president, Kellyanne?
Well, he certainly is going to be taking his message directly to the people. That's the only way he knows how to cut through the silence and the noise, however the case may be. Maria, we don't wait around in the Trump world for fair or complete coverage. Trust me.
I got that.
But I think the specific answer, the technical answer to your question, is way above my pay grade. I don't know if the Secret Service gets involved with that or other people in protocol. So obviously the president-elect will be briefed on that. But I mean, just take a random sampling. on social media, on TV, in print, what is said about this man in a given moment. Just take a random sampling, and somehow he's not able to defend himself, or he's not, and he's not able to call out people he thinks are being unfair to workers. He's made very clear what his platform and his presidency will be about. And as with the Carrier deal, where he came together with a carrot, frankly, with Carrier, and they found a way to keep those jobs here and not go to Mexico. Talk about poll numbers. That's wildly popular.
Yeah.
You had over 60% of the country saying they approved of that, and it improved their opinion of our president-elect. That was a very tripartisan point of agreement among Americans. They love the idea that the centerpiece of his campaign to keep those jobs here and not send them to Mexico and China, quote unquote, would be executed upon before he even takes office.
Yeah, it's actually incredible. So we're all waiting on the Secretary of State pick, Kellyanne. We're hearing that, you know, it's narrowing down of the candidates. Are we on, is it down to 5? I mean, former Ford CEO Alan Mulally added to the mix, CEO of ExxonMobil. Is this real? Is this the real list right now? When do you think we'll hear?
Excuse me, look at the diverse backgrounds of these individuals who are being considered for Secretary of State. I think that actually speaks volumes about this president-elect and the wide berth he's giving to any of these possible positions. Maria, as you say, Rex Tillerson of Exxon, I saw Alan Mulally here yesterday from Ford, amazing records as the captains of industry who have direct experience, particularly in the case of Tillerson, around the world, in the developing country, in Russia, in China, in Yemen. You obviously have Governor Romney, Mayor Giuliani, Senator Corker, General Petraeus, and that decision rests with Donald Trump. I think you'll hear in the next few weeks.